Good morning, Gabby. Good morning. It's another interesting program with me today that I'm going to be hosting at Vision TV. As you know, I always bring for you interview from all fields of work. Today, I have a very young stars with me. Definitely, the issues are determined and they have a goal for this country. And of course, today it's going to be a topic which we are going to be bringing for you. And the topic today it is going to be a show that you and I and you the listeners down there watching this program, you can decide about. So before we just go into the program straight, I have my gentlemen that will listen with me, of course, that I will allow them to introduce themselves to the viewers and tell them who and the organization that they are coming from. First, I will start from my father, the number right, with the lady. Can you please tell me?
Okay, good morning, you all. I am Sarata El Bojang. I'm the Vice President currently for the Foundation for Youth Development and Leadership.
Very good, Sarata. And from Sarata, then now we come to this gentleman beside me.
Yeah, good morning. My name is Ismail Afarea. I'm the President of the Foundation for Youth Development and Leadership.
Very good. Thank you very much, Ismail. And now to my
Good morning, viewers. My name is Tijan Biba, the Assistant Secretary General, and it's a pleasure being here.
You are most welcome to Vision TV. Alright, the program started unfolding, like they have given some synopsis of who they are. I would just try to put to you the program that we have today on the table. Like you know, we always discuss about issues, talk about business, talk about politics, and educations and things like that. But today, in fact, we're looking about youth leadership and participation in politics. We all know politics is something which is very, very important, and of course, it is a thing that young people need to understand, and of course, not even young people, but all the people that are watching this program need to understand something important from what project is entirely. So today, we are going to be the drivers of the program, and I'm going to be the moderator. Ismaila, you are once again and your team welcome to Vision TV.
Thank you so much.
Very good. So, Ismaila, please, you can tell the viewers, who are you people? What is the name of your organization first?
Well, thank you so much, Nami. As the name entails, the name of the foundation is Foundation for Youth Development and Leadership, in short, FYDR. Because if you talk about youths, one thing that will come into perspective is leadership and development.
Okay.
And there is no development without leadership. So these are the things that we are able to incorporate to have a foundation for youth development and leadership. Previous years, we were focusing more on development. But if you look at the aims and objectives of the foundation, you will realize that it touches part of education. How do we mold the young ones? It is trying to put that culture of leadership in them. That is why we came up with the Foundation for Youth Development and Leadership. But for records, 2-3 years ago, it was Foundation for Youth and Development. It's just recently that we incorporate leadership into it.
Very good. Thank you very much. I think there is a very good initiative from your end. And I believe this initiative definitely will really pay dividends. Looking at the cluster of areas that you people are vying for to make people understand what it really means when you say leadership and of course youth participation in politics. And of course, now before we just go deep into the programs, I'll go through the Vice President of the organization to take us through the registration of the organization. How was it like when you are to register your organization?
Well, it started in 2019 when few young people come up with the initiative that they wanted to create something for people. Because as you know, in society, we have a lot of young people that are there, they want to come up with ideas and things, but then some of us, we don't have the capacity, or let me say the
Idea.
yeah, how to go about it.
Yeah.
Then also, looking through the foundation, we are into sensitization and issues. When you go into that, young people are there. You can go meet them at their various places, try to explain things to them, or perhaps give them the empowerment to come up with things and do for the society in general. Yeah.
So,
to what he's saying here. Foundation for Youth Development and Leadership is a registered foundation. with the Ministry of Justice. If you look at it, I think we start since the inception. You cannot just come out and do something without a legal document.
Definitely.
Before I approach you to do something with you, there should be something that needs to prove that.
Yeah.
So the foundation is registered. And if you look at the registration also, we do not only stop at registering. We have partnership with reputable organizations in the Gambia and institutions in the Gambia. For example, currently we have a partnership with the Ministry of Basic and Secondary Education. Part of our activities, we do debate competitions among schools. So how can we come to your school without, that legal document? So the foundation is definitely, a benchmark in the communities and in the institutions. We do not only have partnership with the Ministry of Basic and Secondary Education. We also have partnership with Gambia Open Forum Society. Yeah. So all these things, as we get into the program, we will delve.
Yes. Now coming to Tijan, I think Tijan will help us to how the partnership goes like and who are those partners here we're talking about, and how recognized is your initiative in the societal level. Yes, Tijan, you can take us through. He was like talking about some of the partners that were involved that are there with you guys, trying to who's the objective of the organization. Yes, who are these individuals or these institutions we're talking about here, and how far are you with these people as we speak right now?
Okay, thank you so very much. Like he mentioned, currently we are partnering with MOPSI, and then I did not join the association. From the records, I understand they have been engaged in community sensitizations and school outreaches, and whereby they went all the way to the provinces, Upper River region, where they met students, school-going children, and educate them about leadership and also about how to become responsible citizens. So those are few of the activities that they have been engaged in.
Good.
Yeah.
Good. Very good. Now we now talked about, that's a very good how to call it, synopsis of what you guys are trying to initiate. I think this is very, very laudable. And that you appreciate what you are doing. And of course, like I always keep saying, you see young people in the country, you never reserve ourselves. We are always in the forefront to see that we are there as stakeholders for national development. Now here we talk about leadership. It's very, very essential. We talk about the different who is a leader and who is that young person we are talking about youth. Ismail, I'm going to start with you. Who do we call a youth?
Well, a youth would be someone who is in the ages of 18 to I would say 35, or let's say 18 to 40.
Within that age bracket.
Within that age bracket, he or she is qualified to be called a youth. When you look at it, I always keep saying this to people. Even in the religion, it says God prefers you to worship Him in your youthful ages. But you just don't have to wait until when you get to that olden stage where you walk with crutches and you want to start worshiping. Understand? So if you look at youth leadership, it has to come from the young people. How would the young people, try to embrace those qualities? Is by giving them opportunities. So I would say the age bracket of a youth should be from 18 to 40. I'm not going to pass 40. Okay.
But to many will tell you it's between I stand to be corrected. It's between 18 to 35, or I should say 36. What I'm seeing you going far left to 40. But anyway, it's more inclusive. So still talking about young people. You understand that this age bracket you're talking today. I meet with that 39-year-old young person there. I'm still describe him as a young person. It's good. But how well are our young people now going to use that? How well are young people prepared?
Well, I think we have a lot of brilliant people in society. But then people are not willing to come out. People are not willing to give their best. I think also if government did not give us the platform to share our ideas, debate our initiatives, I think we can create things for ourselves. Look into them, see how best we can develop our nations.
Indeed.
Because as the famous saying goes, the future of every society lies in the youths. So I think we should just come out and do our best.
Definitely. And this also reminds me of this saying that from one of the the Nigerian author, Achinua Achebe, that when the whole balance that it is the job. So
Yeah.
very good. So I mean, yes, last week also I was with one of the peace advocates here who also said, I mean, like Mohammed Magadi, because he keeps different, like when we talk about peace, it's inward. It doesn't come from outside.
Definitely.
So when we talk about this leadership, it means still we need young people to take this drive. You understand? That will enable us to do where we are, because we always keep seeing there is a light side that we talk. So we young people in the country, we are definitely ready to make that change. We are definitely ready to make sure that we change those narratives. So, and I know for sure, you and I and all those that are looking at this review right now will definitely take this moment to ensure that what we are looking for as government youth, we end up getting that every day.
That's
good. So now, I mean, Tidian,
Yeah.
you heard what your colleagues are saying, concerned about, I mean, your organization. Still, we move on. Can you give us, please, the governments and non-governments alike, some of the objectives that you people are having right now towards this initiative?
Like the name implies,
Yes.
youth leadership and development contains many agendas. But to be precise, we have so many objectives or so many agendas for this country. Like just in the few months, we'll be engaging in tree planting exercise, and then we'll be conducting school outreaches, community outreaches, and we have already identified a certain community in Kiang, whereby we're going to meet the VDC, the Village Development Committee, and then talk to them about their mandate, and then train them how to write proposals, and then things like that. So there are many things that we want to do before our mandate ends. So we have so many things in our agenda and that we want to meet, and we want to make sure that it is not only limited within the combos, because many of the many associations are only restricted within the combos. So we want to go all the way to the last village in this country. Yes. So we're going to meet youths, we're going to meet students, we're going to meet communities, and then discuss with them issues that are affecting them, and then talk to them about solutions. Yes.
Good. Ismail, he made mention of like mandates. When our mandate ends, is it like you have a specified mandate for your executive? When the mandate ends, you have another incumbent executive. So is that what we are communicating here?
Yeah, I think it's very important he made mention of that, because this is the third executive council of Foundation for Youth Development and Leadership.
Okay.
So it's like you have the first executive council, the second executive council, and currently this is the third executive council.
And you are
I am the sitting president. Okay. Let me say, our mandate would end in September, whereby the positions will all be advertised again for people to apply. So it's not like as a president you be there a lifetime, no. Or it's not like you be there for a certain amount of years, for example 5 no. You have a mandate of 1 year leadership. So at the end of the day, come September, people will look at us and say, okay, what were the things that the third executive council were able to achieve?
Yeah.
So that is why he made mention of that mandate. We want to leave
a legacy.
Yeah. I'm going to ask you a question, and it's going to be a historical question. It only deserves yes or no. Ismail, you being the current sitting president of this organization we're talking about here, if the community is not impressed with your service, and they ask you, and the next coming executive council we want to go, and the community is not able to present with you.
Yes, of course.
Thank you very much. Now we go to Ismail, very, very, very clear. Government that he is going to decide. Okay? No problem. He's not going to run anyway. Anyway, Ismail, this is what you are saying.
Yeah, and that is the reality.
That is the reality. Anyway, now we come to mentorship. How well do you think our young people should be mentored to be able to undertake leadership roles and responsibilities?
I think mentorship is important, because mentorship starts from our household.
Yeah.
Our parents, our aunts, our uncles. So if we practice that culture, this issue of learning mentorship in tertiary institutions would be something that we're going to, deal away from. For example, you and I, in our areas, there are kids that look at us as role models.
Yeah.
So if we are able to mold them at that young stage, we try to put leadership qualities in them.
Yeah.
It would be definitely important. For example, I keep saying these things. Growing up as a child, the first thing that my parents try to put into me is always be caring and sharing. That is the first, I would say, that is the first mentoring skill that I am able to learn from my parents. Whatever you have, try and give out something from it. So mentoring is important, and mentoring is something that I want to achieve in this organization. I want to touch down base with various communities, talk to kids, and at the end of the day, we would have that society whereby everybody would have somewhere to hold, and at the end of the day, the leadership that Foundation for Youth Development is talking about would be something that would be a reality.
Indeed. So Tija, how well do you think, or how best do you think your foundation is working towards to ensure that young people that are coming up, the rising ones that are coming up, are well mentored? And how can you achieve this as a foundation?
Thank you. Like in my initial position, I said we have been conducting school outreaches, and most of these schools is where we have these young people. So if we target them, we go to them, reach out to them, talk to them about their responsibilities or their rights or everything that is important to them, will also contribute to their future, because we said we have this idea of catching them young, going to them and then talking to them, giving them these ideas, so that they become responsible in citizens when they grow up. So if we reach out to them at this stage, it is not going to be a problem. Like at the age of 18 or 25, they'll not need us. They'll not need us to go to them and then talk to them about these leadership skills. So we need to get to them at this early age, then so they grow up with this responsibilities.
Do we know right now which communities did your executive council start working with as we speak right now?
From the records, they have been to Basse. I said it before.
Have you your council, have you guys started working with communities as we speak right now?
No, for now we just came into power just not long ago. So we are planning, conducting. Yes.
That we would be doing the community outreach. Don't be surprised if you see us in Nemakunku to do a community outreach. Already we identify Lower River region to do our community outreach.
Now, Sarah, let's talk about what do you use to be able to map out communities to be able to involve as part of your programs.
Go again?
Yes, what I'm saying is like, how best did your foundation map out, figure out communities, because you must have areas that you targeted to be able to have programs with them, to be able to understand what people have, train them. What do you do?
Actually, we look at basically we want to involve the people in the provinces. So we look at certain communities, go there, talk to them, look at the problems they are having.
What do you look at the communities? What do you look at those communities to be able to reach out to them? Or is it like you just sit down and say, okay, never go?
No, actually, we just sit as a council, discuss, then draft out letters and send it to them.
In addition to that, just in our last meeting, this think of identifying a community in Kia, we sat down. It was in our meeting that somebody raised this issue of VDC in Kian, a particular village. Is it Kian Nema? Yes, whereby he said there's a need to involve this VDC and talk to them about their mandate, because there are at times some of them are not aware of their mandate, so we need to reach out to them. So we don't only just get up and then choose this particular community. We need to lay down certain areas, such as whether that particular community need us, whether they need our service. Yes.
Yeah.
So,
to add little to what they are saying, yes. For example, if you look at Lower River region, for example, we all know that partnering with VDCs in those areas would be something that is going to be very good. Because bush burning can be a yardstick to measure why we want to do a community outreach in.
That is exactly where I want to.
Exactly. Yeah. So bush burning might be an issue. Why we want to go down to LRR and talk to the VDCs on how they would be able to at least manage themselves in order to avert bush burning. Because anytime you travel across the provinces, from Fui down to the last village, you tend to realize that bush burning is something that is definitely alarming. And global warming is a reality. It's no more a dream. It's a reality now. So touching base with VDCs, definitely in the community outreach, the issue of taking good care of our forests would be something that various speakers.
So what we are saying here is like, communities that are vulnerable to environmental hazards, and also looking at the way they have the humanitarian, local authorities and councils. You understand? You deem it necessary that there is a need that these people have to be engaged, to be informed. It is not just like they don't know what they are doing. They are informed of what they are doing.
And what you said is important, very, very important. Because if you look at it, not only community outreach want to do. Already we have identified schools. I think Kotu Senior Secondary
Jamison
and Jamison Senior Secondary Schools are all schools that we know. If you look at the curriculum now, civic education is part of it. It's part of the subjects that we are doing.
Exactly.
So we would go to those various schools and talk to them about how necessary or how important it is to engage in civic education. Because if you look at Gambia as a country, civic education is something that is definitely lacking in our society.
Yeah, definitely. And we have organizations in the country here. NCU, definitely. I think they are one of the civil organizations in the country that is working to ensure that Gambians and non-Gambians alike residing in the country are well informed about some of the civic duties and responsibilities that they need to undertake. You understand? Yes. So it's are we really saying that these people are not performing open expectation, or what actually are you just trying to?
Well, I would say people are not adequately informed with regards to the roles of NCCE. They are doing an instrumental, an outstanding job in the country. Part of our aim is to foster a partnership between NCCE and the foundation. And we visited their office, and they gave us so many valuable information that would be needed for our foundation. And in the coming weeks or months, you will definitely see Foundation for Youth Development and leadership partnering with NCCE. So information needs to be filtered down. In short, sensitization is key.
And also, we also have issues of sensitization about illicit use of drugs. Yes, I think that is also important. We are having plans of going to communities, talking to young people about it.
They need. So at the school level, I know students.
We want to talk to them about their rights. That is very important. And second, also taking part in politics. Because as you see, politics is part of our lives. It touches every aspect of our lives. So we wanted to talk to them about it, know their rights, let them get involved in it, and let us see how best we can develop our society. And also about the illicit use of drugs, which is very important. And as young people, perhaps they might get bad influences from others. So if we put these things to them, they might know the dangers that come across with it. So perhaps they can see ways in order to just forget
avoid that.
Yeah. Very good. Now we talk about politics, Gambian politics.
Yeah.
What I should say is state. You understand? What I should say, no, politics is a level playing ground. Or the politicians and even non-political politicians are. Yes. What do you think from your observation? Is Islamic Gambian politics?
Well, there are so many problems. But to be specific,
We would like to know.
to be specific, he mentioned about civic education. The lack of awareness, the lack of understanding about politics is a fundamental problem in the political affairs of this country. Like you just sit down in your house, not knowing what you're doing, you just take your phone, do or write anything that you feel like without thinking about those responsibilities that go along with your right. You have a right to freedom of opinion or whatsoever, but those rights goes with responsibilities. So in the Gambia, we need this issue of civic education. People, particularly young ones, need to be involved, engaged in their rights and responsibilities. Yes, and I'm glad that senior school or school-going children are now exposed to this civic education as a subject in the senior secondary school, which is very good. Yeah, so people need to be involved and sensitized about this issue of politics. And the other thing is the other factor that is causing all this bad politics is because, like I said, people are not aware about the whole concept of politics. Just because myself and Ismaila are from different parties doesn't mean we are enemies. You understand? So we need to understand, remove this concept that I should always, or a person in a different political party or different political agenda is my enemy. We need to do away with that. Politics is very civilized. But because we don't have this knowledge or this understanding of the concept of politics, we tend to misuse it, or we tend to abuse it. Yeah, so we need to engage in civic education and then, know and change our perspective about politics.
Very good. Just to make it very, very clear for this and Israel, I want to come in. Yeah, he made mention of writing write-ups. Everybody now become writers. You understand? And cybercrime is very, very alarming. What do you have to say about that area?
Well,
and what do you think your country will be doing to ensure that out of 100% cybercrime in our internet is being better?
Well, I think it's all filters down in being responsible enough. How can we be responsible enough? Where your right stops is where someone's right begins. If I pick my phone in my comfort zone, I write something and put it in the media. Someone somewhere will also read what I write or what I wrote and put his or her opinion on that, and at the end of the day it becomes confrontational. So the issue of being responsible enough is important. Let's talk about issues. For example, today coming from coastal, or let's say coming from Turntable down to Airport Junction, you realize that there is a whole lot of issues that needs to be addressed.
Indeed.
There is a whole lot of issues that it's need to be put across. The rainy season is fast approaching. How do we hold each other responsible in order to be able to challenge those issues that are going to affect us? A whole lot of people were sitting down 2-3 days ago. No one was expecting rain. All of a sudden, it rains. The potholes that were left, not taken care of in the last rainy season. You go to our different streets today, all those areas were filled with rain, stagnant water. Those are issues that we need to, challenge, or those are the issues that we need to come up with. But this issue of, attacking each other in the media, I think we should do away from it.
Yeah.
And my council, the third executive council, we'll definitely try to work with institutions that will be there to sensitize people in order to avert those issues of cyber crimes.
Yeah, yeah.
That is well very, very, very clear from the president himself. Like he said, this is a reality. When you go down to the Facebook, any media outlet, you find that people write anyhow they feel like to write. So sometimes you need to be, there is nothing like you shouldn't write, you should write, but what to write is very, very important. You understand? Internet is not based on like we have to be appreciating each other. You understand? It has to be democratic in this sense. You should really have to understand that what I'm just giving out to some rich in content. You understand? Should be able to inspire that person that is down there and also to be able to educate him or her. You understand? So it is very, very important that really young people, a chunk of us are using the internet. So I mean, the advice here that we are sending to all of you is to ensure that anything that you are to write or anything that you are to write, let it be something which is of beneficial to you and all those that is going to go through your writer. I think that is very, very important. Now, I mean, going to Canada, yeah, still in politics. Yes, I mean, young people, when you look at the previous elections in the country, you'll find that young people were not that much involved compared to this recent ones. What was your observation like? And given your observation, what do you think now your foundation will do to make sure that the next government elections, be it presidential election or parliament or whatsoever, young people are fully involved into politics?
Well, I think one of the problems we are having is like the system is failing young people. Perhaps that is why they don't want to get involved in the political system. But then I think every young person should go through like the basics of understanding politics. Like we have a course at the university, Introduction to Politics. That is very, very important. And I think like people like, let me say grade 12 students or probably 11, so go through those courses in order to understand what politics is. Then, you cannot just go into something that you don't know. Perhaps they just get things from society that politics is just about games, politics is just about power and all those stuffs. But then when they get to understand these things, I think it will be better for them to get involved in this because this thing affects everything in their lives. The decisions and the policies made by our leaders affects every part of our lives. So as a council, we are thinking to go in for sensitizations. As I mentioned earlier, that is to inform them about their rights, what politics is all about, and what is their responsibility towards the nation. So yes, I think that is very important.
Indeed, that is very, very important. Now coming to you here, still in the politics, like Sandra just mentioned, it's very, very important. People know what politics is about, and knowing it, they have to have that skill of mentorship program all geared towards sensitization. And I know definitely your foundation is working tirelessly to ensure that every young person is being fed about what politics is and development. Politics has to go with development. That is why sometimes I look here, people say politics is politics. Even some of our parents are following politics.
Well, I think what we need, like in general, is attitudinal change. That is very important.
So you'll find out that politics is a development course that young people are doing at the University of the Gambia, and we expect them to use that knowledge to be able to impact something in the society.
Definitely.
We have to make a decision that will be beneficial to the native or to the citizens in the country. Now coming to you, Tijan, yes, I mean looking at a level playing field like we call politics in the Gambia. I mean, you find out that there are people which will be voted in the House of Parliament. Those are the individuals that becomes, and then you will see to our development project. We have a trajectory of what project pipeline that we need to achieve. But you find that once they are installed, once they are in the office, they don't think of their constituencies anymore. Yes, what do you have to say to that area?
It all boils down to this lack of awareness, this lack of understanding, and this lack of civic knowledge. Like for example, like myself today, if I had it been, from now on, if I'm voted in office, for example, and I passed through this civic education course in whatsoever, I will be able to understand that I am voted in and I have a responsibility to do. So going there and ignoring my responsibilities will be a very selfish thing about me, a selfish agenda about me. So having this knowledge about civic rights will help us address this issue, because most of the people that we have there are just, I don't want to say cherry picked or whatsoever,
Yes.
but they don't have this, understanding of their responsibilities. You see them there, if it is time to say yes, they say yes. It's time to say no, they say no. So it's crazy. They don't know what is their responsibilities, most of them. Yeah, so we need to address that. And you were asking Sarata about the atmosphere of the then government and then the current one.
Yeah.
If you analyze the two regimes, we can see very good improvement in terms of youth participation in politics. Because before, we said it was a dictatorial regime, whereby people were not, allowed to participate in politics as they wish to. But now we have youth participating in politics. But if you look at it, they are given the room to participate, but in a very selfish manner from political parties. For example, you have political parties and then you have youths within them. So membership there, you can just get up and be a member of this political party. But at party level, as a youth, you are not given a voice there, because most of the executive positions within the party are not occupied by youths. They are occupied by elderly men and women. So youths are given only the right to go and vote and to be used as political tools, but they are not given their voice. The fact that political parties are not giving them the right or the opportunity to hold certain party positions is stifling their voices, because it is the executive that will make decisions. So if you are not part of that executive, you cannot make a decision at party level. So let's go to national level. How many people are occupying? How many youths are occupying executive positions? Do you know any? Any youth? It's very few. So giving us the right to take part in politics, and also giving us the opportunity for our voice to be heard is different. They can only give us the right to go and vote for them, but they don't give us, or they don't recognize our right to be heard. That is the problem.
Would this not mean to say, like in Ghana, that is where young people came with that kind of slogan to say not to young to go.
Exactly.
Where they felt like, we are not part of the decision.
Yeah.
When decisions are going to be formulated in the country, young people have to be part of it. You understand?
Yeah.
And here in the Gambia, we the young people keep saying this over and over again, that we have left behind. They'll be using us as political baits or whatever to say.
Yeah.
But then when it comes to this one,
we are left behind.
What do you think your organization will do, your foundation do to ensure that you collaborate with, in the National Assembly we have party committees, we have inter-party committees. What do you think your organization will do to ensure that we reach out those inter-parties in the National Assembly to be able to have a collaboration with them, so that when elections are going to be held in the future, young people have a center stage.
Going to the National Assembly is too far, because, like for example, right now if we have only elderly people there, we don't have youth representative. Even if we approach them, they will acknowledge our presence, but they are not going to fulfill our objective, that is to make sure that young people are represented in the House of Parliament. Yeah. So the approach that I am thinking would be approaching the IEC, the body responsible for this election, for them to come out with requirements whereby at party level youths are given the opportunity, to lead a party, or given the opportunity to hold certain executive positions. If that is done, then you can see any government that is passed in or that come to power, if you have certain youths as their executive members within their party level, they will automatically become members of the government, executive members of the government. So using that approach, you can see youths will be involved in politics. But going to the National Assembly and talk to them, unless if they can pass a bill whereby every party in this country will have certain positions that will be occupied by youth.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Indeed. That is very, very clear from Tijan's end. Good. Now, coming to the president, Ismail, young people are very much confident comes to private politics in the country. And they always keep saying young people are not that much informed when it comes to politics. How to do it. When they start to really reach out to certain communities in the provinces, you'll find that youths that are involved in politics cannot tell you what political theory and objectives are. You understand? All what they know about politics is for them to, be part of the group. You understand? To make sure that they support, you understand, the individual or representative that they wish to represent them at their constituencies level. Ismail, what will you say to the recent parliamentary election when it comes to the involvement of young people in the national election?
Well, thank you so much, LAMIN. I would say 22 years ago, there was no level field playing ground. Because, like Tijan said and Saratra, young people were not putting their attention on politics. But that has changed now. I am not here to give reference to any political parties.
Yes.
But we are seeing recently it is changing, because if you look at the executive composition of certain political parties, you tend to realize that the young people are given position more than the elderly. Okay. Coming down to the National Assembly as well, you look at Janjamore, they have one of the youngest and most vibrant parliamentarian who has done tremendous job when it comes to youth participation in the country. Banjul is also another area that is about. The 3 MPs that are in Banjul, they are all youths. Tuma is a youth, Abdullah and that of ML. So the young people are coming in, understand? I would use Tariq for example. He happens to be a living example for all the young people.
Definitely.
This issue of I'm not going to participate, no. Let's do away from that.
Yeah.
It's either you do politics or politics do you.
Yeah.
So it's now done. It's now filtered down to our various communities. Whether you want to participate in politics, to be part of a political party, or whether you want to involve in politics to make that informed changes in your areas. We have more than 12 independent candidates in the National Assembly. Understand? So the young people at one point in time, definitely this country would be back to us, and you will have the driving force.
And from your own observation, is there any hope that this country will one day change?
Yeah, most definitely. Because if you look at this platform, for example, we are now coming up with platforms.
All bananas are going.
Yeah, I'm not going to say the all bananas are going. As the saying goes, every young person must have that old person that would definitely be guiding you to the sky. So we need old people. We need all people to at least guide us in that process. But definitely, the young people are coming up with platforms. The young people are coming up with agendas that will be definitely helpful to the country. In the coming years, I would say we would see young people in the driving seat already.
Asking you a question that is related to how can we fetch out youths that are interested in politics. But we understand that in Gambian politics, you first have to be engaged in community initiative. You have to be responsible of being part of the community, to be doing some service works, which will give recognition to you as a young person, so that tomorrow, if you need community service, the community can be there to recognize you and put you into power. But today in the Gambia, it's a different case. You understand? You see people that are installed into power. We know them, we don't know them. We don't see them. You understand? But when it comes to politics, when it comes to election, that's the time they always out with us. What do you think that young people should be doing at the community level in order for them to be given opportunity when elections are going forward?
Well, thank you very much. That is very important. The Foundation for Youth Development and Leadership does not just cherry pick me to say, you'll be the president. I have applied the position, and maybe they have seen the track record of my activities. That is why they built that trust in me. Okay, now that also filtered down to the people that we select. I believe you have to touch base with your community. There are many self-help projects in the communities. But how many of the youths would engage themselves into those activities? You don't attend social events, you don't participate in community activities. I mean, no one, have this belief that, okay, Ismaila is from this community. If I want to come and vie for a position in that community, someone who is not attending social events, someone who is not participating in community activities, why would people trust me with their position? So that issue of touching base with your community, bring yourself down to the level of the community is very, very important. That is the only way, you can be able to at least come back to them in seeking positions. For example, if you look at KMC, for example, Talib is a living example. He left all the way from Canada just to come down and stay in the country for more than 2 years. He was doing community activities. He came up with a slogan. Is it Gun Sense? Gun Sense, that project that deliver dustbins to KMC and cleaning gutters. You are not necessarily trying to convince people to vote for them, but you are trying to at least leave a mark, so that at the end of the day, the people will be there to judge for themselves. So engagement and participation is very, very important.
Very, very key indeed. So young people, wherever you are, like hear from the president himself, the engagement there has to be utmost. You have to engage yourself with the community. They have to recognize you. You have to be able to know who you are in terms of community service. You understand? You shouldn't just be there and wait until when things are just they come and that's the time you start to show up. It doesn't work like that. You have to be there with them in good or bad. You understand? You have to have a sense of that direction, sense of initiative to be able to be with them when it comes to let's say services that we are to render in this society. And I know, of course, that we the young people down there, we are definitely committed to make sure that we change the narratives. We there. You understand? So now we are now afraid, we are now coming to the end of the program, but before we go, we just give you some of the areas that we didn't touch. And from there, we now come to the end of the program. Yes, Sarah, now let's talk about the transformative women's leadership. We have young people that are coming in the community level, which they have a vision of becoming good leaders. What do you think that your community foundation is doing to make sure that you catch them at that particular point in time and mentor them? What do you think you guys are doing? What's the direction?
Okay, I think we have a lot of vibrant youths like women around the combos here. But then when you look at the provinces, we don't have enough. Perhaps we need to focus our vision on those people also, empower them. Because I know they have the ability and stuffs to take up leadership issues. Yeah, we need to just put up 1 or 2 things, empower them so that they can also know that yes, we can do this, so that we can all come up. Because I think women are the most important people in society. I'm not trying to be a feminist also, but yes.
Yes, I am a feminist. I'm one of them.
Oh, okay.
Women are always into women's because we find like when we come to gender-based violence, women are always key. They are always vulnerable, so they can't just lead them. So it's like we have to put 1 or 2. What do you think? What are you just trying to tell us? That 1 or 2 that your foundation will put in place. Can you specify that?
Okay, we plan on visiting them, perhaps educating them about issues. Some of them have, I would say, the ought to do things. But then when you don't have people behind you pushing you forward, how will you be able to do it? I as a person, I want to take up that responsibility.
Seriously?
I want to do it.
What do you have to say to that area?
She mentioned a very important point, that is targeting the provinces. I'm from the provinces. In fact, my participation at this organization is fueled by an organization that is from my village, Sayarigubu Student Association. It's a village association which I have been serving for the past 4 years, and from there, I learned to take up these responsibilities, and then I decided to understand that I can do it. So from there, at community level, I learned this, and then I came when the first time they advertised position. It is the position that I have been serving in that organization. That is the position that I applied. That is the secretary position. Although another person came up with better qualification, but I can say at community level, we need to be engaged. We need to participate. We need to make sure that anywhere we go, our faces are not new. You talk about this politics, this National Assembly. You talk about people coming from the combos going to the provinces to contest when people in the communities don't in fact know them. So we need to be engaged in those activities. Now from today, let me say this, today if I go to my village and then stand somewhere, nobody will say, I don't know Tijan, because they know I've been serving them. I've been serving in community activities. So like you said, or like Sarata said, we need to get involved in these activities at community level, so that anytime we come up in the future, people will not be wondering as to whether he can do it. And in addition to that, I think political parties also have a role to play in this, because you cannot just say it is the people who will decide who will serve them. When it is time for selection of candidates, it is the executive who will go there and influence people to do that. That is very bad. So political parties need to step back and allow people to choose based on the people that they think can serve them.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. Now, Ismail, let's talk about pro-political development in the country. In most cases, you see young people who men and women in the country who complain about good politicians, people in the National Assembly, but they are not really serving us. Who do you think should be blamed for poor development in the country? Is it the citizens or the government?
Well,
politicians that they put?
If you look at it in one way or the other, it filters down to us. Poor leadership is a factor. Let's just not look at it, or let's scrutinize the type of leaders we need to put into this position. For example, when we look at the parliamentary, for example, it's an office that is there to make laws and amend laws. So if politicians are coming, or parliamentarians are coming down to our communities telling us, if you vote for me, I'm going to construct a road for you. Or if you vote for me, I will, buy a bag of rice for you. Those people are not serious politicians, really, to take. So I think it has to come down to the type of people that we select in that House of Parliament. If we put in people that will scrutinize every budget that comes, or every bill that comes into that Parliament, or that comes into that office, at the end of the day, would have good governance. There are bad laws, many bad laws in this country. So trying to change that would definitely be important for the National Assembly. So that issue of putting in right leaders would definitely bring many socio-economic development in our country.
I think the right place to discuss issues about this should be at the biggest level that we have in our constituencies. But how well are the MPs coming to engage the constituency to be able to know their feelings and transport them into National Assembly? Many will tell you we have offices at the constituency level, but hardly those offices are open.
Well, thank you very much. I think that is important. The last parliamentary election should serve as an eye-opener to anyone who is willing to participate in politics. We have about 8 to 9 incumbents that lost their seat in the National Assembly. So that issue of waiting after 5 years, trying to come back to people to ask them to vote for you, is done and dusted in this country. You must be able to touch base with your community. You must be able to touch base with your constituencies in order to at least influence decision for them. But you want to fold your hand, you don't want to do anything. you want to be in the National Assembly, just for the sake of being there, any paper that comes or any bill that comes, yes, a yes or no from you. And at the end of the day, you want to base that. In the next 5 years, if you want our vote again, we are going to decline.
Yeah.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Indeed. Ismail.
My final message would be, let's keep engaging each other. It's very important. Engagement is important. For example, to touch on women representation, you must be criticized. As the saying goes, an unborn child that fears criticism shall never be born. So if you want to build that castle in your mind, if I want to vie for a position, they are going to criticize me. And the opportunity for women leadership is more important than that of the male. You understand? For example, you look at the mayor of KMC, the mayor of Banjo. She came back to the country yesterday with a heroic welcoming.
Yeah.
You understand? So it's like if we put women in leadership, in one way or the other, it serves as a wider opportunity for them. But it has to come down to our women. They should be the one to come up with those things, and the men should definitely be by their sides, and that is encourage them. So the third executive council under my leadership would definitely try by all means. This idea or this agenda of women empowerment would be something that would be key in our aims and objective in the coming weeks and months. So thanking the viewers and thanking you, LAMIN, as well, and Vision TV for inviting us in the studio. Definitely is a very fruitful discussion. So many valuable points we are learning here today. Thank you.
You are most welcome.
My message is for them to come and join us in implementing our objectives. You can just contact us on Facebook if you want to join. We will send you the membership form. You fill it with a fee of $200 and then come and join us. Yes, in addition to that, young people down there in the provinces, you need to get involved in community service. In order to be able to represent your people, you have to get involved in it and then at least have this foundation of representation or community services. Then from there, anytime opportunity pop-ups, you will be the right guy to be contacted.
Indeed. From Tijan ends, he said you have to be involved in community service.
Yeah.
So that when opportunities comes, you will not be left behind. And finally, to Sarah, what message do you have for the women there?
Finally, as Tijan rightly mentioned, we are urging every young person, especially women, to just join community services, join pressure groups, join voluntary organizations that are here to help issues, national developments. I believe we can do this, and together we are going to reach the dreamland.
Yeah, together we can make it. That was a very, very interesting conversation that I had with my gentlemen here, and of course it has been an extra mile. Of course, we're talking about good leadership in politics and their participation, which is very, very key. Yeah, maybe there are certain things which we couldn't touch due to the limited time that we have. But definitely, welcome you all, and I will tell you, Ismail and your team, Vision TV, the good platform is here for all the young people. Anytime you need us, anytime you need our service, we are here to serve you people to the best of our abilities. So we are very much appreciative of your comment, and of course, you all know them in the traffic. I was a bit hot on the comment, but my apologies to okay. And now I'm afraid we are going to end the program here. Until then, it's bye from us. Bye bye.